Alright, hey guys, Pax, welcome back to another Pokemon Pocket video. As Tal states, we'll be going over the top 5 best decks to use from the new booster pack, Ruler of the Skies. As always, if you guys are new to my channel, really would appreciate if you like to subscribe. Really does help me out, especially as a small-time content creator. And without further ado, let's get right into the video. So I'll be going over 5 decks. 3 of them I'll be using in PvP. Last 2 decks I'll be more so going over their tournament performance. But even then, most of these decks saw high performance in tournaments this past week. So yeah, anyways, let's get right into it. So the first deck that we will be going over is the Mega Manectric EX Heliolisk deck. This is the deck that's right here. As for the 2D pattern code, here it is. It'll also be displayed on the top left side of the screen, as you can see. But yeah, this deck is very straightforward. Ideally, you want to lead with Helioptile, eventually evolve into Heliolisk, doing some decent chip damage onto your opponent's active as well as chipping their bench. We have 2 copies of Clemont's backpack as well as Clemont. Clemont's backpack is interesting because it not only buffs your damage towards your opponent's active Pokemon, but also the bench. As you can see, it says plus 20 damage to your opponent's Pokemon. It doesn't specify if it's active or bench, meaning that it works on both. Alright, here we are in PvP battle, leading with Electrike going first. This could work if we pull, for one thing, a Mega Manectric as well as a Helioptile. Perfect. So just chill like this for now. Next turn we can evolve into Heliolisk. Might as well Clemont this turn as well. But yeah, as I mentioned, you ideally want to lead with Helioptile. Unfortunately, we are forced to lead with Electrike, which is very unfortunate. But looking at this, just looking at Heliolisk, has 1 attack, Electric Spark, does 40 damage, requires 1 lightning. This attack also does 10 damage to each of your opponent's bench Pokemon. And looking at Clemont, Clemont buffs Heliolisk's damage. That's plus 20, 2 of them plus 40. So just like this, evolve into Manectric, retreat into Heliolisk. I don't really have to do this. I might as well save for next turn, but just to show you how this works. So as you can see, it buffs both active damage as well as the bench damage. So this guy does 60. Usually this guy does 10 damage on to Entei, but because of the Clemont's backpack, that's 30. So yeah, a bit overkill. I didn't have to do that to one-shot Magby, but still doing some decent chip damage on to Entei. And keep in mind, Heliolisk does damage to each of your opponent's bench Pokemon. Not one. With Clemont's backpack, with 1 Clemont's backpack, I'm doing 30 damage onto my opponent's bench Pokemon, all of them. 2 Clemonts, 50 damage all around the board. So absolutely huge. At this point, might as well... Why not? It's basically an easy sweep. I'm tempted to do one more battle, not gonna lie. Just to show this deck a bit more, since this is a very fast battle, but yeah, just like that. Very straightforward. Next turn, Mega Manectric is doing 110. If I got 1 more point, it'll be doing 140. But just like this, why not? Second copy of Clemont's backpack, doing 60 onto Entei. Next turn, Heliolisk does 110. Should be a GG unless my opponent's able to heal up with Lucky Ice Pop. Yep, GG. Rest in peace, Heliolisk. But this Pokemon got its value. Just like that, subbing into Manectric. Pulling a second copy of Heliolisk, opponent concedes, yeah. So if you want, depending on your hand, you could very much just lead with Heliolisk. Once the guy gets knocked out, sub in another one. After that gets knocked out, sub into Manectric. And by then, Manectric should get an easy sweep, especially paired with Cyrus. You can very much Cyrus one of your opponent's bench Pokemon, preferably a Mega, and then hopefully sweep with Mega Manectric just like that. Ooh, this is a very juicy hand. Okay, so we went first, leading with Electrike. This turn we can evolve into Mega Manectric, evolving into Heliolisk, Mega Manectric as well. Clemont's backpack, buffing the damage for this turn. Copycat, give me something good, please. This will be nice if we can get a second copy of Heliolisk out. We got Heliolisk and Cyrus. Okay, the worst. Cyrus could definitely help us out, very much so. So very straightforward. Electric Spark, doing 6 damage onto your guys, 3 damage on to Rayquaza. Next turn, if you pull another Clemont's backpack, we can one-shot Gouging Fire. Alright, all opponent does is place down Dratini, as well as feed Mega Rayquaza. Next turn, Mega Rayquaza can do 150 damage, so very scary. At this point, might as well Clemont. We got Clemont's backpack huge, so we can one-shot Gouging Fire just like that. Let's do that. Feed Manectric. Electric Spark yet again. And as you can see, yeah, doing 30 damage onto both bench Pokemon. So absolutely huge. Next turn, if I want, I could Cyrus the Dratini. It concedes, yeah. They really can't do much because I could have Cyrus Dratini, playing it a bit risky, but further buffing Mega Manectric and eventually just hard sweeping Rayquaza. Or I can just start attacking Rayquaza if the guy tries to retreat. Cyrus him back in, taking the point. So a very fun deck. very strong early game, and is ultimately very disruptive. This guy is Generator Rex, a generator Pokemon. This guy's the embodiment of Generator Rex. Shout out if you guys remember that. I was gonna say anime, but I think it's American animation. Yeah, to all the Zoomer kids out there. Even though this guy looks nothing like Generator Rex, but he's the Generator Rex of Pokemon. Yes, let's just go with that. Anyways, the next deck that we'll be going over is the Mega Rayquaza, Dragonair, and Gouging Fire deck. Yes, last battle was a perfect segue to this. But yeah, this is the deck list right here. 2D pattern code. Once again, the pattern code will also be in the top left. I changed it. But yeah, for this deck, very straightforward. You ideally want to lead with Gouging Fire, have Dragonair supporting in the bench, generating energy, ideally 2 Dragonairs, and then 1 Mega Rayquaza. Towards the middle to late and even early game, you could sub in to Mega Rayquaza and dominate your opponent, doing a minimum of 100 and a maximum of whatever. You can hit up to however much you can feed Rayquaza until you end up tying. This guy's potential is only limited by how many rounds there are in a match, which is 30, of course, for a PvP battle. This is looking very promising. So for one thing, we are going second, leading with Gouging Fire. We got Dragonair and Dratini, Small Balloon as well. So in 2 turns, Gouging Fire can attack, opponent getting a lot of value, placing down routes, foul links, and then copycatting. In 2 turns, Mega Glade EX can potentially attack. You got Rayquaza and Giant Cape. Okay, so not too bad. Might as well play it like this. Place on Rayquaza, Dratini, Small Balloon, the Dratini. I always want to say Small Air Balloon. I'm sorry if I said this earlier. Actually don't remember, but it's Small Balloon, not Small Air Balloon. But just like this, end our turn. If anything, I'll Giant Cape, Gouging Fire our next turn. One thing to note is the Gouging Fire is amazing. Not only because it does 100 damage, which is somewhat decent for a basic non-EX, but after attacking, this Pokemon takes negative 30 damage from attack, so a little bit of a buff, especially paired with Giant Cape, making it somewhat tanky. Okay, yeah, all opponent does is attack Gouging Fire. Gouging Fire can attack if we can get Rainbow Cave, which, looking at our hand, there's a very high chance. So for one thing, just do that. Giant Cape, Gouging Fire. Copycat, generating 4 cards. We have 10 cards in our deck. Please give us a Rainbow Cave. Perfect. This is actually huge. Holy crap. Don't feed just yet. That's like a rookie mistake. Do not feed. You want to use Rainbow Cave first so that you can discard an energy. So do that. Feed Gouging Fire. Dragon's Blessing. Just like this guy can attack. After attacking, of course, you will have to discard energy. Let's just go with this. Why not? It doesn't really matter too much. We can start feeding Mega Rayquaza because we can use Dragon Blessing twice, feeding Gouging Fire, and at the same time feeding Mega Rayquaza on the same turn. Gouging Fire will be surviving with 30 HP, which is absolutely huge because now we can do this. Might as well. I mean, it doesn't really matter. Rainbow Cave yet again. Evolve into second copy of Dragonair, and once again, as I mentioned, Dragon's Blessing twice. So first time generating that energy. Third energy doesn't matter. Concedes, yeah. I was about to cook. You see how this deck works. If you get a very strong head start early game, you can just dominate your opponent. They really can't do much. You can attack with Gouging Fire each turn, discarding energy, yeah, but easily generating them, especially if you have 2 copies of Dragonair on your bench, while also feeding Mega Rayquaza, setting up for the late game. Mega Rayquaza, once again, being an absolute nuke, and potentially one-shot a Mega EX. It could be Mega Glade EX, Mega Blaziken, even Igglypuff. If you do it towards Igglypuff, mad respect. The third deck that we'll be going over is the Vespiquen EX Shuckle EX deck. This deck is very fun. Vespiquen EX will be hitting a max of 140 damage, 160 with type advantage. And as you can see, paired with a lot of strong grass type basic Pokemon. So we got Kartana doing some decent chip damage onto your opponent's active Pokemon, but I'm also chipping your opponent's active as well as their bench. Ogerpon, essentially a hard counter to the sleep meta, as well as potentially clutching in the game, especially towards the late game, able to hit a max of 120, 140 with type advantage. Shuckle as well. So Shuckle, the main appeal for this card is that it's somewhat a mini tank because of the ability Solid Shell, negating 20 damage, triple slap, flip 3 coins. This attack does 20 damage for each heads. So it could be very unreliable. You could be doing 60 damage consistently, getting 3 heads each time. Equally so, you can get 3 tails each time, doing 0 damage. Guy's absolutely useless, but nevertheless still a decent tank towards the early game because of course you want to sub in to Vespiquen EX as soon as possible. Using his attack, doing plus 70 by discarding one of your bench basic Pokemon. So discarding the Shuckle, that's sustained damage. But yeah, this is a 2D pattern code right here. Once again, it's in the top left portion of the screen. All right, once again, back in PvP battle, leading with Pheromosa. All opponent does is place down Dratini. We got 2 Professor Researches. Please give me a Combee or a friggin' Force. Okay, Nice, not too bad. We got Combi, Heliolisk, Ogerpon as well. Pheromosa not getting the most value since my opponent doesn't have any bench Pokemon, but this is fine. If anything, we are disrupting them for one turn. If you can pull a Kartana, we can one-shot Dratini, unless my opponent does evolve into Dragonair, which they do, okay. But it's very awkward to have Dragonair in your active. They Rainbow Cave, yeah. Keep in mind, Dragon's Blessing only works if Dragonair is on your bench. So since it's in the active, unable to support itself, opponent's getting a lot of fire energy as well. They discard a fire, attach a fire, next turn they have another fire, so that's all they do. That's pretty rough. And we pulled a Vespiquen as well. Absolutely huge. Professor's Research. Ooh, I was gonna Field Blower, but we got Fragrant Forest instead. Might as well. Pretty huge, I have to say. This is ideally how you want to play this deck. So once again, lead with Pheromosa, Shuckle, Kartana, even Ogerpon, more or less. I mean, Ogerpon can be a decent tank towards the early game, yeah. And use Chase Order to discard it. This is Jump Lose, yeah. Let's do that. Next turn, Vespiquen can go absolutely crazy, doing 70 to 140 damage on to Dragonair. Opponent gets a Pokeball. Mega Rayquaza is out. Okay, I'm dying. Holy crap. I wouldn't be surprised if they surrender at this point. Because if they sub into Rayquaza, they could very much do that. But Rayquaza is unable to attack. Because, as you can see, this guy requires Fire and Lightning. Opponent has no Lightning energy. So, still subbing into Rayquaza, which... Okay. We have Cyrus. Win Condition Cyrus is sitting here, ready to use his hand. Do you think he washes the hand? Okay, this is gonna be very sad, but yeah, this is ideally how you want to play the deck, so let's do that. We have a Field Blower, which I mean doesn't really serve much purpose. Opponent's running Clear Veil, prevent all effects of attacks used by opponent's Pokemon done to this Pokemon this card is attached to. Attack with Vespiquen, doing Chase Order. They'll ask you, yes, of course. Discarding at this point Ogerpon, why not? Just do that. Doing 140 next turn, we got Cyrus. So as long as my opponent isn't able to heal up to over 140 HP, we should be good. They're beginning to believe. They're lucky ice popping. Already up to 120. Oh gosh. They're beginning to believe. I can just hear the Yu-Gi-Oh music in his head. Oh gosh. Oh my gosh, dude. What is going on? This is equivalent to like the Yu-Gi-Oh scene where Yu-Gi just keeps on drawing monster cards and then this Pokemon just keeps on attacking. Ladies and gentlemen, lucky ice pop. Yeah, so Rayquaza will be surviving with 20 HP, which isn't too bad. I mean, we should still be able to win, especially since we have Pheromosa. Opponents already used 2 copies of lucky ice pop. Attacks, doing 150 on Vespiquen. Still surviving though, so can get one more attack. Yeah, just play like this. Just play very slow, pretty much. Kartana, what up? Just in case, I'm gonna do this. Yeah, I'll save Kartana for later. But it should still be GG, even though this was very scary. Okay, yeah, Chase Order. Yes. Discarding Pheromosa. Just in case. Just in case my opponent Field Blowers, this is definitely the best choice, discarding Pheromosa. Yeah, Field Blower will be very scary if they use it, because Vespiquen will just have a heart attack and die. They Rainbow Cave, okay. Ends their turn. They just gave up. GG, yeah. So, as you can see, very dominating. If you can get Vespiquen out and attacking as fast as possible, especially going second, your opponent really can't keep up with this Queen Bee Pokemon. This is a Queen Bee, right? Vespiquen. If you love bees, this deck is for you. If you hate bees, equally so. Just like Batman, you know, Batman hates bats. You gotta embrace the bees. Alright, so for the 2 remaining decks, I'll be going over their tournament performance. So, as always, I'll be using the website Limitless TCG. The link to this website will be down in the description below. But yeah, the 4th deck we'll be going over is Hoopa Ex Greninja. Has a 53.54% win rate. Looking at this deck made by Portland Poliwags, got to 1st place out of a tournament of 198 players. Looking at the matches, won 10 times, lost once, tied once. Lost against Mega Manectric EX Heliolisk and tied against Mega Sceptile EX Greninja. And looking at the deck list. So yeah, this deck is very straightforward. I actually have a deck showcase using this specific deck on my channel, which I highly suggest checking out. But yeah, for this deck, you ideally want to lead with Hoopa, being very aggressive with Shadow Bullet, because you can see Shadow Bullet does 30 damage. This attack does 20 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. So amazing chip, especially towards the early game. Chip damage definitely adds up over time. Second attack, Dynamite Punch. Requires 3 energy, 2 darkness, 1 colorless. After attacking, this Pokemon does 20 damage to itself. So I feel like depending on the scenario, for the most part, you won't be using Dynamite Punch that much. There's going to be a lot of scenarios where it's going to be much more beneficial to feed either a Sableye or even a second copy of Hoopa on your bench. But yeah, 30 onto your opponent's active, 20 onto one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. You can do 40 damage onto the active paired with Deceptive Needle, a new Poke tool. At the end of your turn, if the Darkness Pokemon this card is attached to is in the active spot, do 10 damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. And keep in mind, you can use this your first turn going first. So let's say you are leading with Hoopa. Going first, not able to attack. If you attach Deceptive Needle, you're still doing 10 damage at the end of your turn. So somewhat decent chip damage, especially paired with Shadow Bullet. And looking at the other cards, of course, they got Greninja, Sableye. So ideally, how you want to play this deck is you want to lead with Hoopa, get 2 Greninjas on your bench, as well as 1 Mega Sableye, dominate with Hoopa towards the early to mid game, eventually sub into Sableye, get a second copy of Hoopa on your bench, just in case your opponent attempts to Sabrina, and just dominate like that. Sableye, once again, amazing. Cursor Jewel, of course, does 80 damage. During your opponent's next turn, if this Pokemon is damaged by an attack, do 40 damage to attacking Pokemon. So just maximizing the overall chip damage. Keep in mind, Cursor Jewel does 80, plus 40 is 120, and adding Greninja's chip does plus 20. 2 of them plus 40, so a combined total in 1.5 turns of 160 damage. So yeah, you can definitely mess up your opponent. Looking at this deck, you very much can run Mega Absol or even Darkrai EX, but in my opinion, Sableye is the best choice. Just maximizing overall damage. There aren't really any strong hitters. Of course, the max damage you'll be doing from one attack is 100 from Hoopa. So yeah, you just want to just keep chipping your opponent, disrupting them. We got Cyrus as well. XP just in case you get a very bad starting hand, or if you are forced to retreat out of your active Pokemon. Rare candies, of course, for Greninja, Copycat, Needles, Pokeball, Professor. So yeah, very straightforward and fits perfectly with the Darkness meta. The last deck that we will be going over is the Mega Sharpedo EX Gyarados deck. Has a 49.89% win rate. Looking at the deck made by Vegragres, hopefully I'm saying it correctly, got 3rd place out of a tournament of 216. Looking at the matches, won 9 times, lost once, tied once. Tied against Mega Altaria EX Espeon, makes sense since the deck is pure torture to go up against. Lost against Gouging Fire Dragonair. And then looking at the deck list. So yeah, for this deck, you ideally want to lead with either Mantike or Carvanha, with Carvanha eventually evolving into Mega Sharpedo, preferably as soon as possible. We have Wallace here supporting, making so that potentially your first turn going first, you can evolve into either Mega Sharpedo or Gyarados. So getting a lot of value. Looking at this, as you can see, there's a lot of frail basic Pokemon. So looking at the previous deck, just pulling it up, Hoopa Mega Sableye, depending on RNG, this deck can absolutely curb stomp this deck, especially if your opponent can't evolve into the stage 1s, of course. We also have Shenpao, could come in clutch, especially towards the late game. And of course, the heart of this deck, Non-EX Gyarados from Wisdom of Sea and Sky. Has an HP of 130, stage 1 of course. 1 attack, Wild Wing. 20 base damage, requires 2 water energy. After attacking, you may discard any number of your bench water Pokemon. This attack does 40 more damage for each bench Pokemon you discarded in this way. So very similar to Vespiquen EX. But of course, for this Pokemon, it doesn't have to be a basic. It can be a water Pokemon of any stage. So looking at this Pokemon, if you discard 1 bench water Pokemon, you are doing 60 damage. 2 Pokemon, 100 damage. 3 Pokemon, 140. So yeah, Vespiquen EX numbers pretty much. The main issue, of course, is that it is somewhat frail. HP 130, which is why, of course, for this deck, we are running 1 Elegant Cape just to support it. Sharpedo, a huge liability. However, of course, looking at the attack, does somewhat decent chip damage, especially for the required energy. And after attacking, you can take a water energy from Energy Zone and attach it to one of your bench Pokemon, feeding either Shenpao or Gyarados. Has a 0 retreat value, so later on towards the mid game, once Mega Sharpedo has sustained some damage, you could sub into Non-EX Gyarados, attacking with this Pokemon while also discarding Mega Sharpedo, making so that your opponent can't get an easy win using Cyrus. And yeah, as I mentioned, Shenpao doesn't need any introduction. With Sharpedo, this guy can potentially get built up relatively fast, doing Diving Icicles, doing 130 to one of your opponent's Pokemon, which could definitely be a win condition, especially if one of your opponent's Mega or EX is rather low. You can just 130, just like that, taking the point or potentially the game. No Cyrus as well. For this deck, you basically want to bully your opponent with Gyarados, preferably one-shotting their active Pokemon. And of course, if they decide to retreat, sub into Shenpao, taking out their bench frail Pokemon just like that. But yeah, ultimately a very fun deck. Very fast paced, of course. Fits perfectly with both Gyarados and Sharpedo's personality, in my opinion. Both of these Pokemon are very offensive, especially with Mega Sharpedo, the certified bully of the sea. And yeah, that's the video. Once again, hope you guys did enjoy. Hopefully you found this video informative as well as a bit entertaining. And hopefully you guys enjoyed the new format. In case you guys are new to my channel, usually for my previous deck showcases, it was primarily just me looking at the performance from previous tournaments. Basically the same format as the last 2 decks that I've gone over in this video. But yeah, I decided to change it up for the first 3 decks just to make the video somewhat more enticing. So yeah, once again, hope you guys did enjoy this new format. Leaving a like and subscribing would be very much appreciated. It will help me both mentally and physically, as I always say. And yeah, with that being said, I'll see you guys on my next video. Peace.